All right, why don't we get started? Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. All right, everybody. Yeah, let's continue on this portrait. I got a little bit of time today. Let me make sure I'm unmuted. Yep, I'm unmuted. Looks like we're recording. Awesome. Just as a recap, so we're continuing on this portrait that we started yesterday. We've got a little sketch that we've started. I'm going to take advantage of a small window that I have. I got a buddy that's staying with me in town, but he's going out to dinner with some friends, and I figured we'd get some painting in. Tomorrow is going to be busy, and Wednesday is going to be busy, and I just wanted to get something going. I'm watching my Giants lose again. Let me turn the mute back on. So, no preamble today. Let's just get started painting. I think it looks like all the cameras are good. If you are going to join me in chat, let me bring up my little chat window. Overlays. My camera source output. Windows. Yeah, everything looked good when I was on my dock and I had two monitors. But now that I'm over here, I don't see the normal windows that I would have. Show picture in picture. Sorry, I'm new to this app and I'm new to live streaming, so bear with me 1 second. Overlays, program, sound effects. Let's do interview chat. No, it's not interview chat. Comments and reactions. That's what we want. All right, I can see comments and reactions now. So let's get to painting. I've got enough paint out here. Let me push this back just a little bit, and I'll scoot up. Let me fix this window. It's our main window. So let's put that back. All right. I think the drawing's pretty good. We'll work on the mouth a little bit later. Let's get some color down. Let's get some flesh tones down. Maybe a little black for the background. So we have a Slack channel for our South Bay Art Meetup group, and what I did is I posted this image in one of our Slack channels. I should put the link for the Slack channel in here if anybody's interested in joining. I'm not charging anything for it; it's a free service. But let me point this at me too. But I dropped a note in my Slack channel that I was going to work on this today, or work on this over the week. And what I did is I invited anybody to work on this portrait with me, and somebody actually did, and they're already way ahead of me. So we got to catch up. Sorry, I'm still fussing with overlays and stuff, but yeah, we got to catch up. So let's get some of that background in. I'm going to use a small brush for starting out. That background, as you can see, all down here is pretty much black. I dropped just a little bit of that orange in there just to see if it was straight up cat orange out of the tube. Which it is, man. It really is. We'll add some shadows as we kind of get down here a little bit. It's a little darker. But yeah, that's freaking cat orange right out of the tube. Hold on. My Giants are about to go ahead. No, Giants are down 3-4. We're playing the Marlins. we were ahead 3-0 for a while, I want to say, in freaking $90 million contract Logan Webb. It's not all his fault, but yeah, right now the Marlins are up 4-3. Sorry if you don't care about baseball, but I love baseball and I love my Giants. So just a time check. We're starting at about 6 o'clock today. Let's try to at least go an hour. But let's get some of this. Let's get some of this background in. And this is just going to outline the face. I'm not going to do the whole background. I want my black a little blacker. So let's add black. And the reason this is important to me is, getting the background in is important to me is it'll help us judge values. You know, this background is our darkest dark, so it'll help me judge values. And then it'll also help us judge our colors. And then it would also help us with drawing the shape. You know, what we'll do is, you know, if the shape, say, if our head is wrong, you know, we could fix it with this background by cutting into the shape of the head. Oh my goodness. I just got a note. The Marlins just beat the Giants. Top of the ninth. I can't believe it, man. We're not off to a very good start. But at least we've got painting, right? I've got a little clamp here. Probably doesn't need to be there, but I've got a little clamp there that we'll fix later. Just as a reminder, we're working out of my sketchbook tonight. I love the idea of having a sketchbook. This is my first one for oil painting. I love the idea of it someday being full. I think it's got like 70 pages in it. And I was even flipping through, I probably got, I don't want to say 10. I don't think I got quite 10 pages in it full yet. But it's so rewarding flipping through the 7 or 8 pages that I have, and seeing those sketches. They're not sketches. They're oil paintings, you know, but they're kind of quick studies. You know, I think the most I've spent on any of the paintings in the sketchbook is 2 sittings. They're all, you guys have seen. They're the Zhao Wu master copies. There's a landscape painting in there. There's a David Gray painting of Kyle Vasquez, who's one of our favorite models here in the Bay Area. I'll do a sketchbook tour sometime. All right, let's get this all the way out to the end. I got to be careful of painting my the rings of my binder, because I gessoed the rings of my binder, and it makes it hard to flip the pages. So, as I say, I got to be careful. I'm sitting here painting over them. There's kind of a perforated edge that I'm painting up to. All right, this kind of goes here. And here, we're not quite getting as much of the shoulder as we are in the image. That's fine. It's fine. So let's work on that face a little bit. I'm looking at my laptop. That's kind of weird. So over to the right, I've got my iPad. Let me spin this one over and you can see it. So over to the right, I've got my iPad that has the source image on it. And then to my left, I've got my laptop that I could see everything that I'm streaming. I don't know why. It's easier for me to look to my left. So if you see me looking down to my left, I'm looking at my laptop. If you see me looking up to my right, that's my iPad. I posted a picture on Instagram and Facebook the other day, and it's basically a shot of my little art station here, and the subject of the post is that escalated quickly. I just wanted a little station in my house that I didn't feel I had to tear down every time I was expecting company or or wasn't planning on painting for a few days. And so I don't know where that got dirty from. And now it's turned into a streaming station. I've got HD cameras. I've got a MacBook Pro on my left. I've got an iPad Pro on my right. I've got about 2 gallons of oil paint on my right in my little container here. So forehead wise, this is probably the lightest spot. So I'm using my convenience colors. I'm not going to go through my palette today. I go through it every video. Today is all about painting. Let's get some paint on this thing. I'll talk as much as I can while I'm painting, but the goal is to paint. Let me just look real quick and make sure that I'm not blocking the view. You should be able to see me mixing. Unfortunately, my light is right here. Let me make a little outline here for myself so that I could make sure that I don't mix in here, because you guys can't see what I'm mixing. All right, and then I'm going to move this pile. I've got a palette knife here. And I'm going to mix it up here. Sorry, we're using my overhead light today. So you can see my face a little bit, and then you can see my palette. But this is basically a mixture of the buff titanium and the rosy beige that I've mentioned before. I've got some convenience colors. This goes down about halfway down her nose. It goes a little bit over her eyelid. A good goal for this hour is to cover this I want to say canvas, but to cover this page. So let's do that. Let's do our best. I've got, this is a little bit redder up here. I'm dipping into my medium a little bit, but so far I'm only using my 2 colors. I'm using my rosy beige convenience color, and then I'm using my buff titanium. Let's see what we can do with those 2 colors. And so if you look at the source image, she's front lit, so I would say the highlight is right down the center of her face down this diagonal. So let's keep that in mind. So of course, to make volume, as you go to the sides, they get darker. As you get away from that highlight, it gets darker. And in this case, darker means more of the rosy beige. And I like it. It looks good on the camera. It doesn't look too bad in front of us. And I'm going to paint the face and then add the hair on top of it. I go back and forth on this. Last time we added the hair first, and I think it's more important if I do it accurately, or it would have been better if I did it accurately, and I didn't. So I didn't like that process of doing the hair and then painting around the hair. I'm looking at the canvas right now, and I can still see the hair sneaking through layers of paint, and I don't like that. So we're going to paint the face, even though it's extra work. And then what we'll do is we will go back. I'm sorry, we'll paint the face without the hair. Sorry, talking and painting at the same time. So we'll paint the face without the hair, and then we'll go back and add the hair on top of it. And that's kind of a scary thing too, by the way, as an artist, because you have this perfect face, and one of the last final touches is to add the hair that covers the face, and you know that one little screw up, and you get to do it all over again. So it's a little bit stressful to add those few lines. Somehow I always do it wrong, and I have to paint it over again anyway, so I don't know why I'm stressing about it. I should just be resigned to the fact that I'm going to have to do it again. But it's still stressful. And this is actually a little bit yellow. I don't know what yellow I want to use. Let's use more buff titanium. And then we'll use a little bit of this titanium white. And then it is more yellow, so let's not use the cad lemon. Let's use the cad yellow, and then I think we got to lighten it up quite a bit. And what we'll do is we'll use the titanium white to lighten it up. Let's just put a little dab on there. I think it's way too dark. Let's add some more in there. The problem is that cad yellow is so strong. It's going to take a lot of titanium white. So you see me adding it, and I'm moving my. Normally, I go when I go lighter, I go down towards me. So the dark part of my pile is towards the top, and then I'll work my way light towards me. Today I'm moving light away from me, but you can see how much white I'm adding and how little of an effect that it has. What I should have done was add started with a pile of titanium white and then added the cad yellow to it, but I didn't, so here we are. This is pretty yellow through here. And since this is alla prima, it's not alla prima because we're going to do it in a bunch of sessions, but since we're going to only take a couple sessions to paint this, I guess I'll say my goal again for this session is to just get the page covered. This is starting to get pretty dark out here. It looks like a transparent red oxide would be a good color to darken that up. I'm kind of down into where there's a glare again, but this kind of corner here is transparent red oxide. How's that look on the page? Yeah, that looks pretty good. It kind of makes a little swath here. I know I'm supposed to cool it down as I get closer to the bottom and to the shadows, but I still don't trust that. Whenever I do it, it looks like I'm making a 5 o'clock shadow on the portrait, and I just don't like the way that looks. It literally looks like a 5 o'clock shadow to me, which isn't a good look for most women. And then this line here is pretty dark and warm. So I'm going to put that line in there. We'll fix that. This is kind of weird because I know that this is all going to be covered with hair. But let's do a nice job we'll know that underneath that hair is a nice picture. They must be going through highlights on my game because give me one sec. One sec. It's baseball season. Yeah, they're going through highlights. It looked like the game was still on, but I got a notification that it was over, so. Sorry if you're a Giants fan. I know I had nothing to do with it, but it sucks. We had our ace Logan Webb on the mound that we just paid $90 million, or just signed a $90 million contract to, and he basically got 4 runs knocked in against him. Which would be fine, except we only scored 3 runs, so we just lost 4-3. The problem with that transparent red oxide is it gets on your brush and it's hard to get back off. And I'm trying not to get too much solvent on this brush because I love it. It's a Trekell golden Taclon number 12. I've only got one of them, and if I get it, if I get too much solvent in it and then get it too wet, then what'll happen is when I try to lay down brush strokes, it'll pick up paint. So I'll have all these white streaks. Try not to blend too much, but blending a little bit, I guess. I know the big swath of hair comes down right here, but let's try to make it nice anyways. Let's see, on my display, she looks kind of orange. I know, she looks kind of orange. No comments so far. Oh, I got a thumbs up actually. I do got a thumbs up. Right on. Well, let's keep painting. Whoever gave me the thumbs up, go ahead and say hi if you want. Don't be a lurker. All right, let's just keep painting. Medium on there. There are a lot of young children in my community, and I've got my sliding glass window open downstairs, so there's at least one toddler outside playing. If you hear a kid, that's what you hear. Let's get some more of that buff titanium in there. Not buff, yeah, I guess it is buff titanium. I'm going to go a little bit into her eyes because I know that we're going to cut back out of her eyes. This is really orange in here. This is pretty light. She's pretty, all right. She is very pretty. I was looking at some more of her pictures on Museum, and they're all very manipulated, like lots of filters and like really artificial contrast and saturation. My only problem with this one is it's just kind of got that lens distortion. Her neck is very yellow in this picture. I did it again. I started with the cad yellow, thinking this is yellow, and I really should have started with titanium white. This goes all the way down. This comes up. I'm just going to cover this whole thing. Pretty light on this side of her face. Pretty light on this side of her lip. Really light right here. Very, very light right here. So much lighter than what I've got. So much lighter. My dog is whining because she wants to go out and play with the toddler that she hears outside. I get it. I get it. I want to go out and play with this toddler too, but we're painting. Remember that highlight is right down through the center of her head. Like that camera must be, or that light source must be, whoop, right about here. And it's covering, it's hitting her whole face. Like her lip, I think we were talking the other day, like her lip has no shadow at all. The only dark spot is between her lips. Which I am not used to. I'm used to things being lit kind of traditionally with one light coming down 45 degrees, a little bit in front. So I got to be careful not to do what I normally do, which is paint without looking. Macy saves the day, said hello. Hi, Macy. Oof. I looked over and I could really see how white this is. I think we could get some more pink in those cheeks too. See how powerful that cad red is? I just dropped just touched my brush in there, and it's basically polluted that whole pile. Let's see. How's that reading? Blocking. So let's cover this up a little bit. That doesn't read too bad. Let's get some more over here. It's a little more chroma than I wanted, but how's that read? Yeah, that reads pretty pink. The chin has kind of got that going. Macy, I've got the source image in the description if you want to paint along with us. My goal for this session is to just get this, notebook page covered. I didn't think I was going to get to paint because I've got a buddy in town. So I didn't think I was going to get to paint until like Thursday or Friday. And he has a work dinner tonight that I wasn't invited to. So my reflex was like, oh, goody, I'm going to paint. And then my reflex was like, should I stream it? And you guys know how that turned out. I'm going to wait. If you guys have watched my previous videos, you know I'm going to do my best to wait before I paint the eyes. Which is very hard. I want to paint the eyes just like you want to see the eyes. But we got some more work to do first. And stealing Matt Talbert's quote from his YouTube video, if the rest of the painting looks good before you put the eyes in, it looks even better when you add the eyes. So that's why we're going to wait to the end to put the eyes in. I think I mentioned before, the first thing I used to do, I used to be one of those painters that would paint. I would start with the eye. I would literally start with the pupil, boop, drop a dot in for the pupil, and then I would work my way out from that eye. And I like that. It's kind of cool to watch the painting grow, you know, from the eye out. There's certainly enough YouTube videos and Instagram videos of artists that do that. But what I would end up with a painting that had a very good eye, but it was out of place with respect to the rest of the painting. You know, it was a good eye, but then the other eye would be in the wrong spot, and the chin would be in the wrong spot, and I'd have a painting with one good eye, and the rest of it just kind of all crap. So try not to do that anymore. And instead of warming, or instead of darkening this up with just pure transparent red oxide, I'm gonna add a little light blue into that mix to cool it, and then and then just see how that looks. I was saying earlier that I don't want to give her a beard, but let's see how that looks. fine. And it kind of goes all the way out to the top of this lip here. And this is actually lighter. The problem I have is now if I get any of that cool light blue on my brush and I want to paint the rest of the face, it's in my brush and I can't get it out. So it's like I'll make the whole face cool, which looks crappy. All right, let's do the rest of that nose real quick. In the image, it's really kind of yellow, which I don't really like. This is a little too much. Yeah, it's weird. So normally this part would be the light part, and this would be the light part of the septum. But in this painting, the inside is, so this is the dark part, this is the light part, and then this is the dark part, and then this is the light part. So it's weird having that front facing light. Weird. I've never painted a model that way before. All right, and I'm going to do something crazy right now. Let's add some of that hair. And this is just straight transparent red oxide. I can feel I'm going to add some cat orange, kind of right where I'm stroking now. Ooh-wee. That looks bright. Let's try some cat orange. The problem is, it's just right here though. Crazy, right? And then I think the top part of the hair is golden ochre, maybe with a little bit of titanium white. So this part. I'm not going to do the hair that covers the face yet, but let's just to frame the face. We'll add some. And it's almost blonde like in this section. And it comes up high. Yeah, the top part is really blonde. Let's just start with white. The brush is a little polluted. We'll add a little bit of that golden ochre in there. Maybe a little cad yellow. Just looking at my laptop. So it is like almost black, the shadow underneath. So let's just add that for now. I didn't go black. I've got this pile right here is mostly raw umber. And the crazy thing is her eyebrows. They've got kind of a blue tint to them, or a green tint even, bluish green. And I shouldn't be fussing with this now. We should cover this canvas. But just curious how that looks. Same with this side. She's got some awesome, awesome eyebrows. Sorry, you're getting a little bit of glare off my my light. All right. Let's get this face covered. Let's get this face covered. We'll add the hair on this side too. Why don't we add the hair now? The nose and the bottom of the nose and the lips, I could feel some fussing coming with that, so I'm gonna hold off on that. Kind of interested to see the bottom of this chin. And I'm basically just adding a little bit of that light blue to, we kind of had a mixture of transparent red oxide, a little bit of cad orange, and use that to make this line. Let me make my brush a little more chiseled. Oh, and this brush is, I really like long flats. So it's a flat, but it's long. Kind of like a bright filbert, but just a flat brush. And I love them because, not that you can with the filbert, but I just like you could really make a chisel with the point, but then it's also a flat. So. And again, this is Brian Mark Taylor's signature set from Trekell, one of his brushes, and it's a number 12 gold Taklon 2512 flat. All right, so that doesn't look too masculine. I don't think. You guys might know better than me, or be able to tell better than me. So I don't want to. I want to do the hair on the right, but see, the hair comes like right down here, and I'm not so sure. I'm convinced about the skin tone yet, so I don't want to just blow that out or blow that up. Like, to me, the reflection off the forehead is so much lighter than what I've got. That's a hard thing about using an iPad for your source image, is everything is so bright and colorful, and I'm lucky enough to have a nice new, I've got myself the nice new iPad Pro for my birthday this year. And the display is incredible, but it's just so much, it's so much brighter than I could ever paint with oil paint. But anyways, I want to make this hair here. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? So the hair kind of goes along here. I think I could do that line of hair. Let's do a compromise. We'll do that line of hair to kind of shape the head. And then as it goes around here, it gets dark. It gets transparent red oxide dark. It's quite a bit wider. Don't know if it's that wide, but... And that's getting blonde up there, so I've got to be careful. Careful, careful. It's probably a little wider than I wanted to go, so I'm going to cut back into it with this raw umber. And I remember I did blacken it up a little bit. Let's cut into it here and here. Cut into this here. And whenever I hit that black or whenever I hit another color, that's why you see me wiping my brush, because if I lay another brush stroke down of that cad orange with that polluted black, I will pollute the cad orange. So you got to wipe your brush every time. Because you don't want to muddy your colors. It's kind of like when you're painting waves in the ocean. Every time you use that lightest light to get the highlights on the foam in the waves, you basically, and your brush touches, say, the blue of the water or the rocks, you know, the gray or the black of the rocks, you got to go back and clean your brush. You don't have to clean them, but you got to wipe them off. Like if you see me, what I'm doing is I always got a paper towel in this hand, and whenever you see my brush disappear down towards my lap, I'm cleaning my brush. Not cleaning it, but just wiping off the excess. Especially if it's a polluted color, like if I've got, like I just did, I just dragged my cad orange brush through that raw umber brown. Then you got to clean your brush. And you always got to have a paper towel in your hand. Because if you don't, you'll get lazy. And what will happen is you'll end up with a muddy painting. And nobody wants to see that. I'm on Instagram and I'm following tons of artists just like you guys probably are. And there's this one artist that always posts the muddiest paintings. When I say muddiest, I mean like so much polluted colors in the face, and they use like black. You can't use black. All right, I'll say you probably shouldn't use black in a woman's face. I mean, I'll use black around the eyelashes and the pupil, but this artist, and I'm not bashing, but I wish I knew the person well enough to say, hey, lay off on that black. I'm going to darken this up a bit too. And if you use any black at all on the face, like I have to be really careful to really clean my brush. If I'm doing the eyelashes or the pupil, I got to be really careful. I really got to remember to clean that brush before I use it again anywhere on a woman's face. You can kind of get away with it with men's portraits, because it just looks like stubble. And but I'll just say I don't want to do it for women. Women shouldn't have stubble. Although I may have dated a girl in high school that had a little stubble, which is unfortunate, because if you're a woman and you have stubble in high school, it's only going to get worse. Trying to decide what I want to do. The forehead comes up pretty high. This line here, I'm trying to decide if I want to make it white, like the skin tone, or if I want to make it dark like the flesh, or like the hair tone. Let's make it light. It's easier to cover the light with dark than it is the dark with light. So we'll try this first. I'm going to redden it up a little bit, or pinken it up a little bit. Just to kind of make it a little bit of a transition color. I know that there's going to be hair, there's a big swath of hair that comes down through the center of her forehead. I know there's a big swath of hair that comes here. But if you look at the source image, you could see under the hair that this line does come down. And it's pretty dark. Like where? It's kind of weird, right? Where does that hair come down? Oh, where does that hair come down? Oh, and I made her hair pretty orange, and it's pretty light. Let's try just a touch of gold ochre in titanium white. Leave it like that for a bit. I'm going to get a little bit more of that raw umber in that hairline right here. I'm going to try to wreck that hard line a little bit, just because I know we're going to paint over it with that big swath of hair, and I don't want it to be too thick. What are we going to use for that pink line that goes here? Do I have a color that I could even make that color with? Man, I'd sure be interested in what you think that color is. It's kind of, I kind of want to, let's play with it a little bit. I'm going to clear off a little space here. Let's just clear off right down the center. I'm going to clean this off too. So in a 3-hour painting, I got quite a bit of palette real estate here, but in a 3-hour painting or a 3-hour sitting session, so most of our sessions are 3 hours. So if we go plein air painting on Saturday, or if I hire a model for Wednesday nights and we do figure or portrait painting, the sessions are 3 hours. Of course, with when you have models, you have 5-minute breaks every 20-25 minutes. but the session is probably 3 hours, and I will clean my palette off. I will clean my palette off about once an hour. For my portable set, I have a Strata Mini, which doesn't have a lot of real estate. I think it has about 2/3. So about a third of it is where I squeeze my paint out, and then I've got about a third of this space available for mixing. So it's kind of got me into the habit of needing to clean my palette off, and you want to do that. You want to do that as often as you can, I would say, just to avoid dirty colors. I hate this stage of her painting. She looks so terrible. But I can paint. I know that I can paint. I know it's going to get better. Just got to keep painting, right? But yeah, it looks terrible. Just part of the process. So before I got sidetracked, I wanted to see if I could come up with that. Is it fuchsia? That pink border. There's a little bit here, and then there's a line that goes here all the way around. And I know I'm kind of sidetracked right now. There's also a black line that goes around, but after the black line, and this kind of looks like a little faded in the front. Here. This is what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about, when I say the pink line, this line, I'm like, how in the hell am I going to mix that color? And so it's there, it's pinker here. And then I know I can mix that orange. I've almost got that orange straight out of the tube. And then what else? Yeah. Let's just mess around and try to make that pink just for giggles. Let me just put the camera back. All right, so I'm going to start with titanium white, and then I'm going to add. This is alizarin crimson. Let's add some more titanium white. Is it that simple? I wonder if we add a little bit of this buff titanium. I've been adding that to everything. So it seems more chromatic to me, but I think was it that simple? Clean my brush. Let's get some of that titanium orange in there. This is straight up titanium orange. And then let's get, that's pretty black. Clean my brush. And you might not be able to see it, but up here, I've got my solvent can, which is basically Gamsol. I got the extra big can. It always looks a little pinkish and orangey just because of all the portraiture I do. I definitely recommend the big can. I got a smaller can for my portable set, but if you don't have to haul it anywhere, that big can is nice. All right, and then I think this borders with straight up black. And I think that's gonna work. Don't know what I was thinking here. clean that up with the pink line, I think. But I think we at least know how to do it. So that was just titanium white and a little bit of alizarin crimson. A little bit more than that. A little more titanium white, I mean. And then we had a little bit of the rosy, what's it called? Rosy beige. Get some medium in there. And it kind of comes down and disappears behind the hair. So see what I did where, and you could even see it in the image. So I did a double dip with my brush, and sure enough, that bottom of that pink is dirty. So you gotta clean your brush. Clean your brush. And I call it recharge. Recharge your pile. So add some alizarin crimson back, add a little titanium white back, add a little bit of that rosy blush back. Rosy beige, sorry, rosy beige. And hit it again. So one brush stroke, clean your brush. And since I've got this loaded, let's just go all the way around the top of her head. This is dry, so I'm going to do some double dips. But I can see that it's dirty. And it kind of does this thing right about here. Clean my brush. Get some medium on there. And it kind of does this thing where it dips down. Clean my brush. Recharge my brush. And then it kind of does another little triangle there. And cleaner brush, charger brush. And it is very, 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 very pink there. And I know that we should be working on more important things right now. But painting is supposed to be fun, so let's do some fun stuff. All right, so the black is going to come around the bottom and cover that up. Let's cover that up with some black now. Got a little bit on the palette still, a little raw umber, and I am going to use a little bit of black. To be honest, a little bit of blue, a little bit of transparent red oxide, a little bit of raw umber. Let's get some more blue in there. That's pretty black. And I think for portraiture, I think I like a mixed black more than I like black out of the tube, but it just looks more natural. Cleaner brush, so you could pollute dark and you could pollute white, or light, so we don't want to pollute either way. So let's just do that, and then we'll quit fussing with that for now. I'm just going to add this, kind of dips up here a little bit. All right. And then when we do the hair and the forehead, we'll clean all this other stuff up. But let's get back to what we were doing. Well, we might as well add, why don't we, since we're fussing around with that headband, why don't we add some more of that cat orange and just finish that out. So it's literally cat orange with maybe some transparent red oxide. Why don't we just finish that out? Man, it is. I know in the image it looks a little redder. Oh, maybe I'll make it a little bit redder just because for the viewer's benefit, we'll make it a little redder. And so see how I drag my brush through that raw umber? So let's clean that brush off again. And I just cut into that pink, so we're going to have to go back and clean that pink up. Yeah, it's pretty thick right through there. And so this is a dirty, it's not a dirty spot. What's happening is the raw umber beneath it is already dried, and this cad orange is actually pretty transparent. So let's put another layer, another coat on top of that. And then I think we'll follow this line around with the cad orange, and then we'll fix that pink line. We'll clean our brush, clean, clean, clean. This brush is a mess too. Look at how powerful that cad orange is. So even like wiping it and cleaning it, I know this is a golden taklon and they're kind of yellowish orange, but that's pretty dirty. All right, so let's fix that pink line, and then we'll finish this. We'll finish this nose. So this pink line comes all the way down, and we're gonna cut up into that. Oh, see how I drag that raw umber through it? Just what we've been trying not to do. So clean our brush, clean, clean, clean. Wipe it off. We're gonna recharge our pile. So titanium white, alizarin crimson, we added that blush titanium, and I've got no medium on there. Let's just go pure paint. And I think we're gonna rinse and repeat. So solvent, solvent, solvent. Wipe, wipe, wipe. Recharge my pile. Titanium white, alizarin crimson. More white. I'm gonna go just a dab of buff titanium. Kind of makes it a little bit orangey, which is kind of what I see. All right, now I drop down into the raw umber a little bit. So let's fix that line. So charge our pile a little bit. So it's raw umber, just a little bit of ivory black. I added some French ultramarine blue. And let's fix that line. All right, let's quit fussing with that for now. There'll be more time to fuss with that later. More time to fuss with it later. Let's finish that nose, get some red on those lips, and we'll call it a night. My buddy's about to come back anytime. So we're gonna double clean our brush. Solvent, solvent, solvent. I don't think most people use as much solvent as I do, but but I want it clean. Like, that is really clean. Like, if I move it around here, you can see it's got a little bit of paint still in it, but still pretty clean. All right, a hard part about this nose, let's do the nose next. A hard part about this nose is, I have to figure out how to do this, but so a hard part about this nose is it's lit here. So that's different for me. So the dark side of the nose are both sides. And you know what? I think this is going to end up being easier for me because you basically just outline the nose. You don't draw a line, but I think we could get away with just outlining that nose. So this section here, and then this line just comes all the way around. And it's kind of nice because it's dark underneath. That should be easy to paint. So let's see how we do. Let me move it back. Move it back. And then we could definitely go darker under the eyes too. And this to me is almost straight up transparent red oxide. So when we do the eyes, I don't think we're going to do the eyes today, but when we do the eyes, they should be pretty easy as well, because they've got such a defined border around them, and I think that's just a factor of them being front lit. And then we're going to darken this up a little bit. And then to make that eyelid, we're literally just going to take a swath of that flesh tone and cut an eyelid into it. You'll have to wait and see, but that'll be for another post. But let's do this. All right. One thing I'm going to do before we get started, I'm going to get all this pink and orange off of my palette, just because that is going to pollute stuff. So let's just grab it all and get it off here. It's fun to play with. We still have to do the shirt. We still have to do the ribbon, the hanging part of the I guess it's a handkerchief. My head is so big I can't wear a handkerchief like that. It looks like a little doily or a yarmulke sitting on top of my head. But I think she's just using a handkerchief. And we use lots of paper towels, lots of tissues. If I order fast food, I save all the napkins. Use lots of paper. And again, you should always have paper towels in your hand. So let's treat this nose like an eye, where you hear me say, and I didn't come up with it, but we basically paint everything that isn't a nose around it, and then hopefully we're left with a nose. I think the color that we're going to use, so let's start with our flesh tone, our convenience color. I know there's around this 3, 4, and 5. I know there's a glare that you can't see that, so I'm painting over here. I know that it's pretty dark, so I'm going to add some raw umber in there. And we're just going to take a little, and it starts up all the way up on her eyebrow. So the nose starts, in this case, all the way up in her eyebrow. And then it comes down. She's got a swath of hair in the way. And we can make it a little darker. I got no medium on my brush. it's going to come down like this. We've got this little triangle going. And I want this to go all the way up. It's fine if we blend a little bit. And it's even darker, so let's get some more of that raw umber in here. And if we screw up our eyebrow or eye, just like we've demonstrated so many times now, anything we screw up, we go back and fix it, and it always looks better. Always looks better. There's no penalty for redoing a section of a painting. I've never painted over something and not been able to get it back. Even better. Even better. Bear with me. I know the eyes are kind of wonky, but we'll fix it. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. So this part of the nose is pretty light. So let's get, so we've got our same pile of we started with our flesh tone. We've got a dark side over here on the left. And then let's make a light side over on the right. Let's get all that paint off our brush though. Because I don't need to put another solvent. So let's just wipe it off. And then let's get some buff titanium over here on this side to lighten it up. And then we're kind of going to combine the colors in the center. And that's this section here of the nose. So that's still not light enough. So let's get some white in there. Let's get a lot more white in there. And then it's just like here. And here. And here. And even though that's not quite right, we can use that as a guide because we're going to have to do a dark section of the nose. So I am going to clean some of that white off my brush because now we're going to do dark because we're going to build the left side of that nose, that nostril. It's not a nostril. The nostril's the hole. I don't know what you call the little wing on the side of the nose. But we're going to build this wing up. Not bad, not bad. Not bad, not bad. Underneath the nose, and I hate to get more of this back in my brush, but I feel a little transparent red oxide in there. I feel it's more raw umber than transparent red oxide. It's not quite that dark though, so let's get some more of our flesh tone in here. So sorry about the glare, let's see. So that's as dark as I'm going, which is pretty dark relative to the rest of it. And that's kind of the top of the nose, or the above the nostril. And it kind of catches just above the make sure my head is in the way, sorry. Just above the septum there. And then it's really dark under the nose. So this little pile in the center here, that's almost pure raw umber. And we're just going to put that there for now. I'm also going to use that burnt or that raw umber for the nostril. You never want to use black for nostrils. Check this out. I've got this new brush. I told you guys a couple of videos, I dropped my brush and then I bent the ferrule, and then when I went to fix the ferrule, it broke. Well, my new replacement brushes showed up today, so let's see if we can make a nostril with it. Oh, and then here, I'll tell you what it is. So you get them, I get them usually at University Art, but I found them online. It's a Connoisseur 2107. It's a 0 pure synthetic round is what I'm using here. And as you can see, this is my finger, and it's the smallest round that I got. That's not true. It's the smallest round that I use. I've got some smaller rounds, but I don't use them. Don't use black for the nostrils. They're usually actually redder. But what I do is I'm going to use that black just to make the line. While I'm here, I'll make the other line. The main thing I use this brush for is the catch light in the pupil, or where the pupil meets the iris. That's the main thing I use it for. Oh, and then I use it for the black of the eyelash. And it goes on women. The eyelash goes almost from the tear duct, pretty much all the way around the eye. So this is a super handy brush for that. Do you need it? Maybe not. Do I love it? I love it. So I've got a little pile here. I've got transparent red oxide, and then I've got raw umber right next to it, and I'm kind of doing a mix between the two colors, which I'm going to use to make the bottom part of this, which is actually a little bit lighter. And what I'm going to do is should have grabbed the dark part of this pile. I grabbed the light part and screwed it up, but let's grab the dark part. All right. Don't use black, I guess. And this comes down and makes that line. And it actually even cuts into the bottom of it. So let's put that line there. And while I got this on my brush, with respect to bouncing around, I think that's basically the same color as the shadow in the center of these lips here. All right. And this line, I wiped all the paint off, but there's enough on there to make this line. Very subtle, very subtle. And since I got a little bit of that paint on my brush, a little bit more. This is a little darker here. And this comes all the way around. All right. And then let's just finish underneath that nostril on the right side. Got a little bit of a light spot here. And then we're going to continue this little line around the wing. I guess I'm calling that the wing now. We're going to lighten up this bit. All right, so let's do what I said. Let's finish. Let's cover the rest of that nose. We're gonna put my small round away. It's very important to wash these brushes. Like there's a couple brushes that I'll wash every night. I know that rule that if you use your brushes all the time, you never need to clean them. If you use them every day, you never need to wash them. I try to paint every day, but the bottom line is sometimes I don't. And then even if I do paint every day, I don't always use the same brushes. I'll tell you what, I am going to use this Golden Taklon number 12 flat every day though. But even though I do, this is one of the brushes I wash, and you just gotta wash your brushes. There's no two ways around it. If you use water mixable oil, you don't have to wash your brushes as often. I use water mixable oils for at least a year, and that was one of the most awesome things about them is I just never had to wash my brushes. But with traditional oils, there's just no getting around it. You got to wash your brushes. And then, so this is a little bit in between the highlight. This color is a little bit in between the highlight and the shadow on the sides. You might not be able to pick that up in the video, but yes, I'm blending. I'm blending. All right, let's get the dark underneath again. I should have just done the whole underneath dark. Get my head out of the way. Is my head in the way? Let me get my head out of the way. Cut into that line a little bit. We don't really need that. We don't need that line to stay, but it was a nice guide to have it there for a little bit. We're going to cut into this side a little bit. We're going to cut into this. And we can see that it goes all the way up. I can tell now we're going to have to cut back into that with that mid. So it's not a... It's not a half tone. Maybe it is. I don't think it's a half tone because the light is on it. It's kind of... I guess it's a mid-tone. For me, it's a mid-tone because it's mid between the highlight, the lightest light, and kind of the shadow on the side. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding the color that's between the highlight and the shadow. Even though it's not really a shadow, her face is so lit. And you could kind of see, block this a little bit. So I've got, and this is all I'm doing. So this right here on the right side of my palette is the lightest color that we've used on her face. It's that buff titanium and the rosy beige, just a touch of rosy beige, but it's mostly buff titanium and titanium white. This side over here is the rosy beige and raw umber. So this is my darkest side. And then what you do is you see me mixing here. So like this portion of the face, the center right now, even though that's not the lightest light, it's the lightest light that we're using so far. This is where the highlight will be, but that's the mixture on the right. And then the shadow side is the mixture on the left. So, and And then I mean, it's just so much easier and your colors stay so much harmonious. Like, yes, I could have made another pile over here and I could have made another pile over here. But when you mix out of the same pile, some people call it a mother pile, your colors stay so much more harmonious. Um, and I definitely recommend that. You'll see if I just paint it all the way through for 3 hours, you'll see that even though I'm painting, all these piles will start to connect, and they'll turn into one big pile. And then, like I said, an hour in, I'll scrape it all off, and then I'll start over. But 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 I think it's important, and something that you'll learn over time if you're a new painter, that um, you'll save a lot of time mixing, and your colors will be a lot more harmonious. If you do that mother pile method, and then um, you just keep mixing from within that pile. And I'm not saying you can't, like, I'm not saying that you can't have multiple piles. Like, if I was going to do her hair is obviously a different pile than her face, and we'll have a different pile for her lips. But there'll be some overlap. I'll bet they'll touch. So, um, um, and if I'm plein air, if I'm out painting the ocean, or doing plein air, I'll obviously have a different pile for the sky than I do for the trees or the mountains, or there's variations. But like, with respect to her face, everything on her face you should be able to do kind of out of one pile, and I definitely recommend that. I don't know why. Sometimes I'll end up with two piles and I'll forget why, but her eyebrows, I want to say ridiculous and I want to say crazy, but I just love her eyebrows. I don't mean ridiculous or crazy in a bad way. I'm just like, oh, I'm like, her eyebrows are just wonderful. I can't stay away from them. And I'm like you guys, I really want to mess with her eyes too, but um, we're gonna refrain. We're gonna refrain, or we're gonna try to just have some discipline. And I may go. This brush might be a little bit big for what I'm doing now, so I may drop down a little bit. And there is definitely some shadows. I don't like that line there, so we'll cut that line off. And it's okay if we drag into her lip a little bit, because we haven't even started painting her lip yet, so there's no problem cutting into it. I'm so glad I got to paint with you guys tonight, because I didn't think I would get to paint till probably Thursday or Friday, just with all the stuff going on this week. Yeah, I think we've reached. I don't want to use a bigger brush or smaller brush, but I think I have to. And then I think we've got about an hour and a half we've been painting, so probably not too much longer. My watch is chiming that the battery is low. So you'll see me pile my brushes up in front here, and this reminds me that I need to wash them later. So if I use them, I won't put them back in my kit. I'll put them in a separate place so that I remember to wash them later. So let's get a little smaller brush. And so this one is a Legion long flat, and this is Trekell's synthetic version of Mongoose. It even looks kind of like Mongoose. Oh, it's very fine. This is also a long flat. This one that I'm using is a number 6. And I think this was also in Brian Mark Taylor's kit. And I'm just using this brush. And let me recharge this pile. So we've got a little bit of our base color, which is the rosy beige. And then I'm working on the lighter bit now. So I'm going to wipe. I can't wipe this anymore out of my brush on the palette. So I'm going to wipe it into my paper towel. And then I'm going to grab some of that buff titanium. I'm going to make a pile over here. And this section that I'm doing is more highlight. So I'm going to make just dip into that rosy beige just a little bit. And I'm not going to get my maul stick out on you guys, but if you can see, I've got my pinky. My pinky is resting on the spiral binding. Let me slide this over a little bit. So my pinky is like resting on the spiral. Pinky is resting on the spiral, and then we'll catch these little spots here. And there's a spot. It's kind of a triangle. It's so weird for me because normally this is the dark spot, not the light spot. And this is pretty light. So I got a dirty brush there. So I wipe my brush off, grab some more of that buff titanium, we'll clean up this little line right here. And we'll bring it down. We can cut into the lip a little bit, where the lip is going to be. Recharge our brush a little bit. And it's so weird that this is light. Oh, and I should say, when I light our models, I always light them from the left. So this one seems to be more lit on the right, so that's just so weird for me. I'm going to darken, so I'm going to do the shadow side. It's not even really a shadow side, but it is definitely subtly darker. And that's almost all of that rosy beige. We'll get the inside of this a little bit. And then there's a little triangle right here that we'll make. And I'm going to wipe off my brush, grabbed a little more dark, and then I'm going to try to clean up this line a little bit. Wipe my brush, clean this up a little bit. That'll be fine. All right, we have a nose. I'm going to lighten up just under this nostril a little bit. We're getting a little picky now, a little finicky. All right, let's quit messing with that. I want to see what happens if for that highlight, it's like right here on the center of our nose. Whoop. And that's really not light enough. If you look at the source image, it's really not light enough. And I know part of that is because maybe the rest of the nose isn't dark enough, but like I'm reading it as so much lighter. So let's see. This comes up to about there. We're gonna blend. This is covered in hair, but let's blend. Her forehead, like right there. This is gonna haunt me because I'm gonna want to mess with it all week long. I'm careful. I'm actually knocking down the big spots or the thick spots a little bit because I don't want it to be a hassle because it's going to dry before I get to it again. It looks a little too blended for me. And it definitely looks like I could make the cheeks redder. But let me turn off this light and see how it looks. Ah! Too dark. Alright. So let's cover those lips. Let's get some red on those lips. And I'm going to keep using this small brush. Let me take a drink of my drink. I'm just blending this a little bit because I don't want to have to fight with that line when we do tackle the eyes. Same with this one. There's a ridge. And even though I'll be able to paint over it, there'll be that ridge there. So it'll look weird depending on like where the light source is. Whew! Getting closer. Let's do those lips. I really want to do the eyes too, but another day, another day. All right, so what's our base color for the lips? Like I see, let me spin this around. So to me, like this area here, I mean, that's all kind of cad red to me. Even though the light is here, there is a little bit of shadow. Very little bit of shadow. There's a little bit of shadow here. No shadow here. So that light must be coming like this. Straight ahead. You can kind of see off our nose, right? So the light is coming from here. My big fat hand is in the way, but so the light is coming here. That's where the light is on our face. I guess this is the brightest spot on our forehead. It's kind of weird. She's lit from a bunch of places because see, there's no. If she was lit on this side, there'd be a shadow on this side, right? And that's the weird thing is there's no shadow. She's definitely lit from a couple light sources, which again is a problem with painting. Painting and finding good source images is you're kind of stuck with however they light it. So let's spin this back to our painting. A little bit more, a little bit more. All right, how are we doing? We're at 1 hour and 46 minutes. So yeah, let's get some color in these lips and then we'll call it a night. So I'm gonna start with, and I see a little orange in there too, but I'm gonna start with cad red. I'm gonna get a bunch of white in there. So like I see the most cad red is like here. I see it here. And I'm going to add a little bit of alizarin crimson. You should be able to see that where I've got it on the palette. So I think this is even more darker. I think this is darker. But I think this whole section of the lip is pretty light. I think this is dark here. This is dark. in the image or the screen that I'm sharing right now. It is so fluorescent red. I'm gonna clean my brush a little bit, and then let's get some. You know what? Instead of titanium, I'm gonna clean my brush again. Let's use that rosy beige to lighten it up. So instead of titanium white, which is usually what I use to lighten things up, let's use that rosy beige. So let's get some up here. This is where the V is. You want the V to follow the line of the septum. She's got one of those painted on lips. If you look in the source image, she's got a little painted on section above her, actually above her lip. I don't know what that's all about. I have a friend from home that does that too. They make their lips bigger than they actually are. And again, I'm a little thrown off because normally with lips, I just make the top lip really dark. I make the little line that separates the lips. And then the bottom lips are really, really light pink. Almost that rosy beige, almost a skin tone. Right out of the tube. So with her being lit like this, I'm a little out of sorts. So underneath here is kind of in shadow, so let's bring that around. And there's like a little flat spot there. And we'll go back and forth. Lips are something that you kind of go back and forth. You basically keep finding and losing the lines. You keep finding and losing the shape of them. There's some tricks like even though I can't see that there's a shadow under the lips, I know that there's supposed to be one there if this person wasn't lit straight ahead. So since I know it's there, I can add it and probably get away with it. The only people that wouldn't, the only people that know that it's not there are people with the source image. And how many people could that be? I'm going to add a little blue to this. And I'm going to make kind of this little shadow here. And there's some schools of thought about whether or not you should make the little line over here. I just try to paint what I see. That's a little dark, but we're going to leave it for now. I'm going to use that same color to basically make some shadows, under the lips. Oops, I almost forgot how to talk there. It kind of comes, I'm going to use it over here. Keep cleaning your brush. Keep cleaning your brush. You don't want your colors to mix together. It looks like I've got to fix this line a little bit. And that was, remember, that was the darker side of our pile. We're going to lighten up. So we're going to mix that buff titanium into the rosy beige, and we're going to make kind of the highlights of the lips. I would recommend doing them in the shape of the lip. And keep cutting back into it. So like I could see this little section right here is so red. And do the shape of the lip so it's got a little curvature to it. Let's see. I don't know if I want to do it. In the source image, she's got that V right here. I don't know if I want to do it, but she's definitely got a V. Let's use that little brush and let's add some highlights with it, just for giggles, just to experiment. So we got our fancy zero round. Let's make that V. So let's just use pure, well, almost pure buff titanium. We'll mix a little bit of the rosy beige in there. And let's see if we can make this line. Let's see, that brush is really, 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 really fine. Too fine almost for this, I think. So that hardly shows up at all, which might be good. I'm just going to have to paint over it anyways. Let's see, is my head in the way? And then let's add some and I gotta say that buff titanium isn't light enough. And I know my lips are dark enough. So let's just add that. My head in the way. And it's totally not my style to go, what do you call it, hyperrealism or whatever. Obviously, not my style, but it's still fun to get this little brush out once in a while. And so don't forget when you're using it, when you're adding those highlights, you got to add the darks back in as well. So, and the darks are usually lined up against the lights. So where there's a light, there's usually a shadow. So put those back in. So this whole section here is pretty light, which is kind of silly because it should be the darkest part. Under the lip should be dark. And despite all the brush cleaning that I'm doing, and as much as I've talked about it, I've got a dirty brush. Oh, I've got a dirty, muddy painting now. From not cleaning my brush. Shame, 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 shame. All right, probably a little carried away there. Probably a little carried away. So take a step back, take a look at it. I really want to mess with I really want to do the eyes, but I'm being disciplined. I don't like this hard line here. Don't like it there. Sorry about the hat. In the source image, you could actually see her teeth. We'll have to decide if we want to try to add her teeth. All right, clean our brush. We're at 2 hours on the dot, which is pretty long for a live stream. Even for me, there's a couple things that are bugging me. I'm sure there's a lot more bugging you. Probably should give her some cheekbones. Yes, I am blending, but I'm trying to knock down the edges. And I know everybody likes the big heavy brush strokes and stuff, but I just know that this isn't going to be that kind of a painting. If I was at the studio and I knew that I was going to finish a painting in one sitting and it would be alla prima. Alla prima means wet into wet, and usually the painting is finished in one session. If I knew it was going to be finished in one session, I wouldn't worry about it. But I know I'm going to be painting this in multiple sessions. So I don't want to have to fight these big ridges and heavy brush strokes when I come back to tackle it again. And so it looks like I'm blending, and I guess I am kind of blending, but I'm blending less to cheat on my poor color mixing skills, even though I could probably spend some more time working on my color mixing than I am about preparing myself for the next layer of paint. And I'm just looking, when I'm looking to the left here, I'm looking, I still am in that habit. I got a beautiful iPad up here under my top right, but it's more comfortable for me to look to the left and at the image that you guys are seeing. And I really want this is probably what I'm doing now is probably better served for the very last layer. What I'm doing is basically, what do you call it? Give me a second. Well, it's almost glazing. It's like wet glazing. In glazing, usually drew with a dry painting, but I guess I'm not glazing at all. I'm just painting, but I guess I'm fussing. It just means I'm tired. All right, let's do one thing. Let's make the just because my goal is to cover this canvas and I don't have the shirt covered. Let's cover that shirt, or cover the area that the shirt is. So it kind of pokes around the back a little bit and then comes down. Oops, it kind of comes straight down, but we're going to make that disappear into the background. Kind of screwed it. I'm going to wipe that off just because it is different. A little carried away, a little carried away. Just bring this forward a little bit. And we want this, I'm going to get a clean paper towel. And then we're going to just wipe that straight down. It's not quite straight down, but it definitely doesn't curve around the front. I guess I gave her a V-neck. Don't just paint over stuff either. That transparent red oxide is really powerful. Don't just lay down more paint. Fix it. Fix it. By fix it, I mean wipe it off. Just wipe it off. All right. So we got that. Let's bring that. Should have just grabbed another brush. I definitely should have grabbed another brush because we're going to bring this shadow down a little bit. And then we'll grab another brush. And let's cover up that black bit or dark bit. She's got like a black necklace too. We'll have to add something in there for that. Let's fix this line again. See how it looks kind of scumbly? And that's because I got all that solvent in my brush. And this section here is really dark. Get some medium on there. Need another brush for that skin tone, flesh tone. Sorry, I'm gonna probably quit talking a little bit just so that I could get this finished, or a good stopping point for tonight. I'm sure I'll keep talking, just not as much. Try not to get my head in the way. And get some of those transparent red tones in there. It's okay if it's a little thin. We'll fix that later. I just want to cover this up. Let's fix her hair though. It's not quite that dark. I can live with that. And let's get that little orange bit, and then I'm going to call it a night. Get rid of this clamp. Oops, my light went out. Shoot, you want to see the rest of it, so let me just throw another battery on real quick. Right here. The batteries last so long in this light that I forget about them. I gotta stand up. Oh, maybe I don't. So put that there for charging. All right, back in business. Let's get another paper towel. And let's just get this section here. think that's a good stopping point. Her neck is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, the neck is a little weird. All right. Let's fix that a little bit. Is that any better? Why is that weird? You know why it's weird is because the hair doesn't come in front of the neck. And then just disappear, right? The hair disappears behind the head. So let's think about this. Let's think about this. Let's think about this. We can't make the neck much narrower. It's already too narrow. Let's see. Let's get that flesh tone brush. Sorry, I know we said we were done. We're not done. So I should just wipe that off. Let's see how lazy I can be. I think I need to wipe that off. Right? And you know why, right? Because now I'm just making a mess. But I think it's going to be all right. Because I need that section of the neck to be a little darker anyways. This is why artists are never on time for anything. Seriously though, we need to call it a night. We need to call it a night. All right. Yeah, let's call it a night. Kind of creepy. I think that. So I know the left eye looks quite a bit lower in my painting than it does the image, but like I got my iPad right next to me here, and the eyes are like exactly the same. So maybe it's the way I got the image cropped in the app or something, or the page. Maybe it's because of the way the page is on my notebook, but we will take a look next time. I think maybe one more thing. I want this to blend in. I kind of want the neck to disappear into the background. Knock the ridges down on that. And that dress is still not right, isn't it? That dress comes down. Let me put this clip back. So that dress. So that dress comes all the way out to her left iris. I think for now, I'm just going to wipe this off a little bit. knock down the ridge. Cover that up a little bit. And then that angle, where does that start? So that starts at her, left iris. The reason I'm fussing with this a little bit more is these things are a little harder to cover. I guess vanity too. I don't want to go away with you guys thinking, what in the hell is this guy doing? All right, seriously, we're done. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I probably won't be online again for another few days. I've got a lot of stuff going on this week in the evenings, like I said, and I've got company in town. But for the next session, we will do those eyes, and we'll keep rendering the face. We'll get that background really dark. I love those eyebrows, so we're gonna have to play with those eyebrows a little bit more. We're gonna work on the scarf, and hopefully make some progress. Wednesday night, so today's Monday night, so Wednesday night, I think I mentioned we've got our first male model that I've actually hired, besides John Carrasco. This is a figure model. John Carrasco who just does portraiture for us. So let me re-say that. So this Wednesday night, we're having our first male figure model on Wednesday night. And then this Saturday, we're painting plein air at Rockaway Beach in Pacifica. And then I'm not sure what we're doing next week, but of course we've got a model coming in on Wednesday. I think it's Nathana. I should probably double check on that on Wednesday. She's doing short pose figure painting, and then I need to book something for next Saturday. But anyways, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.